Good morning. Welcome to the Build in Digital Micro Conference, Beyond the Build. How unique identification powers circular construction. Kindly sponsored by GS1 UK. In this session, we will be exploring how to unlock the full potential of a circular economy in construction by assigning unique digital identities to materials through QR codes, radio frequency identification, or RFID, and other technologies which enables seamless traceability, reuse, and recycling. We're going to move on to our next keynote now. I'm delighted to introduce Anastasia Stella, who's the co-founder and CEO of Circulone. Anastasia, over to you. You're free to share your screen.
Thank you for being here. This is a presentation to show the one example of the technological solution for digital passports and how the digital passports are linked to the unique identification, unique identifiers. So as we saw in the presentation of Serving before, the GS1 unique identifiers really help us to make sure we all use the same number to identify one product. So it's the common vocabulary to identify products. Then, as Servin mentioned, the data that is connected, that is linked to this unique identifier is pretty important in order to understand the performance of this product. And this is what the product passports do. And why do we need this information? Why do we need to have data about the performance of products? Well, we have a lot of different requirements in terms of sustainability, of technical performance, of health and safety of products, and the maintenance. And what currently happens that when we have a developer building a building, there are appointments of different teams that specialize in each of this area and focus on, okay, how we collect information for the sustainability or the technical performance. And as Servin mentioned before, everything happens in silos. So currently, the information is collected to some extent, but it is saved in PDF formats in some reports, so never being linked to each other. So what happens is that later on, after post-construction, when this team doesn't work together anymore, when we try to find information about specific products for these aspects, we cannot really have access to this input. So in best case scenarios, we do have the data somewhere, but we cannot find it, we cannot connect it, so we cannot get intelligence out of this. But in many cases as well, we cannot find data about the products in our buildings. So in Circulant, to deal with this problem, we have created what we call a data power station, which is a platform, a solution for passports that works on 4 dimensions. We collect data for all these different areas we saw before for each product. So everything comes together under one product passport, which is clearly linked to a GTIN unique identifier, so that very easily then we have the same name to search the products everywhere. And then this information can be seamlessly connected to the building or the way till the portfolio. So seamless data integration to make sure we know exactly, we reuse the data efficiently throughout the supply chain and throughout the life cycle. So that when a product gets into a building, then also we can add data about the life cycle, so including its design, its construction, its use in the building, and the end of life, which again can be linked to the unique identifier of the product, which is the same with this one, or even the asset identifier that Servin mentioned before. And then the 4th dimension is that all this information can be connected to the model. So if we want to see the specific product used on the floor that I see now, I can easily identify this. So the granularity level we need. So we have in Circulant 2 types of passports, the product passport and the building passport. The product passport is information for a specific product where we can see the circularity, carbon performance, the traceability through GTIN, technical datasets and certificates, compliance with relevant standards, and health and toxicity. While for the buildings passports, we collect the data for the products used in the specific elements of the building, And then we can see overall performance in terms of carbon, circularity, again, compliance, and automate reporting. To get a bit of a more practical understanding, here we can see a product passport. We can see here it's GT, and we see there are standard categories of information. For example, we can see the manufacturer information. In this case, it's natural building systems. Then we can see the geometry information, like its mass, dimensions, the certificates and data sheets, circularity information, what goes into the building, into the product, what goes out, and even the carbon information, etc. On the other hand, on the building passport, we have different levels of information. So we can see the information for the whole building, or we will see different other levels as well. So here we see an automated view of how our building performs simply by linking the data of the products and the quantities in our building. So also on the products view, we can see all the products used in the building, all the overall quantities we have them, how many elements, again, the seating and different indicators about how they perform, these products. And the very cool part is that we can then into our model, because we have associated specific products to specific elements in the building, we can click on a specific element in our model and see exactly the product that it uses, information about its design, the geometry in the building, if it's different from the product, um, design related circularity, again, all the data sheets, carbon, all, with a few clicks, we can very, very easily find the information we need, and also the technical properties. So we can see, for example, that this steel, it has this intumescent paint, it's this grade, subgrade, etc. And then information for the whole life cycle, including deconstruction strategy, so that we know how we can deconstruct it without destroying it. And also, it's important to say that each passport, as we saw before, yes, if I start it again, you will see that there is here a QR code. So this is unique for each element. So again, for the traceability, if we need to keep this unique identifier for a specific element, we can do so. So how it works? We have the unique identifier and we have the product passport associated with this unique identifier. All we have to do is to link it with our model, if we do have a model, so saying that this store in our models uses this product. Otherwise, we can also do it through Excel if we don't have a model. And all we have to do is to import the Excel in the Circulant platform, and then the platform automatically creates the different levels of passports. So in terms of key responsibilities, is that firstly, the developer of the building identifies what categories they want to document through passports in collaboration with the team. The manufacturers provide the information for the product passport in terms of the performance, which is validated and also linked with the GS1 unique identifier. So then either the design team at the design stage or the contractor does this link between the products and the model. We have the materials passports champion to verify that the information is correct and is the same as the as-built delivery notes. And then we have the model. So finally, we can see the whole building per element category for each specific element, the materials, because each product can have different materials. So we can see all the materials of the buildings in the building and in what products they are, including the 3D visualization. This means that because exactly there is this life cycle documentation, we are able in our building to identify what are new elements, what are reused products, what elements use reused products, or if we have a refurbishment, what is existing and what is added, and even what is to be demolished. So if we're doing a deconstruction audit and we say these elements will be deconstructed, we don't need them anymore, then we can see them as to be demolished. And this links to the Circulant app for deconstruction audits, which is called Audit Buddy, where we can record what we have in our building and key information that can help us to make decisions in terms of what we keep, what we consider as waste, so that then from this output, we can create existing building passports. So if we do extra testing for the existing elements and we have extra certificates or extra information, this can be added in its passports. Other ways for the rest of the information, for the resources that have high reuse potential and can be, we can have circular economy, they will be sent to the marketplace where we have three tiers. Firstly, the internal marketplace within an organization to understand what resources we'll have available when. Otherwise, the network marketplace, so to share this information with key trusted partners. Otherwise, to link it with external marketplaces. So why is this so important? It's because, we collect the data only once, and then we can use it for multiple purposes, for maintenance, for the sustainability certificates, for the carbon assessments, for safety requirements, ESG reporting, building control. So finally, it's not only about having data, but it's how we get intelligence out of data and value in terms of empowering compliance, maximizing the asset's value, future-proofing the building, because we know exactly how it performs in current and future regulations, automating assessments, then use this data through APIs with other systems, so no manual work, and of course, facilitate reuse as well. Some examples. This is the Edenica building in the city of London, where we have recorded approximately 80% of the building's mass. So this was mostly the base build. Also, the JLL IME headquarters, where we're doing the fit out. We put passports in all the internal fit out, which again uses new products but also reused products. And of course, the case study that Chloe will speak in a while in the next presentation with the natural building systems and how we have passporting the extension, the school extension. Thank you very much. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Anastasia. First of all, can I just say congratulations on what looks like a fantastic and innovative suite of software in the Audit Buddy app as well. I've got a question to throw at you straight away. Hopefully, it's not too much of a curveball, but I picked up on seamless API connectivity there as obviously one of the benefits of the solution. Can you give some examples of other tech or the softwares that you link into?
Yeah, so the API connectivity means because all data is digital, it's not like a PDF report. They can easily speak to data in other platforms. For example, if we have the facilities management software where we have all the audits annually that we do in order to make sure, that the checks, this can speak to the platform. So if you don't, in our platform where we have the use stage information, automatically these platforms can speak to each other. So by putting it into one, then automatically it's updated to the other one. Or the same can be with carbon information. Or, the different organizations use different systems, either external software or even internal software, where we have carbon values, circularity, even with BIM, right? Because we have values within BIM for carbon circularity. So very easily the systems can speak to each other and not have to do manual work.
We have a question from Ionis.
Hello, Anastasia. Good to see you again.
Hi, Ioannis. Great to see you.
I would like, to ask, a question, thanks, for the great presentation and the great work you have been doing. Obviously, we spoke before and we know each other well. And I would like, to ask, are those passport, in circular, interoperable? For example, if some company using Madaster or Surpass, for example, Sirdax, sorry, or Absiglia, I think, in some other cases, can be interoperable, in those systems. For example, if one, is using a different platform, some company using a different platform, can be transferable, those material passport in other platforms? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ioannis. Great question. So the interoperability between the different platforms for building's passport comes through Excel at this point. So the information can be exported in Excel. And then depending on what data is supported to the other platform, because not always you have all data, but at least the data available in other platforms can be imported through Excel. So in this way, easily like banks, and this is why we say materials passports as banks of materials, how with banks we can transfer money from the one bank to the other, it's similar. So through Excel, we can export from one platform and import in another one when needed.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And I would like, to ask also, are the results, from Edenica and the other project published yet, or they have not been?
So the results, the case study. So the project is complete in Edenica, so it's available to the project team. And in terms of the case study, it's ongoing. It's ongoing, and
Okay.
so the construction was completed last month. So currently it's being finalized and will be published
Thank you very much.
as well.
Brilliant. Thank you for your question, Ernest. Next question we've got from Eva, who's the founder and CEO of Dataform Lab.
Hi, Anastasia. First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. It's very insightful and great tool you've been developing. I wanted to ask, when it comes to the input of this data on your platform, you showed quite a few stakeholders that participate in the process. How do you ensure good data practices? Is there training that you do to all these teams? Is it intuitive to use it?
Fantastic question. So in essence, we have data on two levels, one on the product level and one on the building level. On the product level, the information comes from the manufacturer. So the verification mechanisms we have is that once we have the data that is provided by the manufacturer, we record also the document where this data comes from, and we verify as well the information. So before we publish a product passport in the platform, we do verification ourselves. So in many cases, we had to go back to the manufacturer to say this is not supported by this document, please check. So then we go to the final output, which is verified. This is on a product level. On the building level, the key information comes from the contractor when we talk about the as-built passport. So the way, first of all, in the beginning of the project, we have sessions with the contractors for training to make sure they fully understand what data is needed to be recorded and how. And then also we have the verification mechanism in terms of what is the as-built quantities delivered to the site, what from these quantities went to waste, so what is the actual quantity used in the building, and we compare this to the BIM quantities. So this is how we make sure the quantities align, and if they don't, we get back to say, okay, we need to, there is something that misalignment, we need to understand why and resolve it.
Next, we've got a question from Vitali, who's the Research and Development Manager at Bimbox. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly there.
Yeah, that was spot on. Thanks. Thanks for the presentation. I've got a question about product passports and kind of the standardization of the properties that come from different manufacturers. Because maybe I'm lacking the knowledge, but is there are there standardized templates that are being used in the industry? Because I would imagine different manufacturers might, name different properties slightly differently, and how you could end up with an array of almost the same information, but not exactly the same. So I just wondered, how do you tackle this?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And I think, one of the key difficulties in our industry is the lack of standardization. So in the circular platform, we use the Waterman Materials Passports framework, which was exactly identified what are the properties we record for each product and how they have specified name. Because in the platform, it's very much standardized, the name, so it cannot change, so the manufacturer cannot change. This stays consistent throughout the projects. Where this is mostly relevant, it's for the technical properties. So the technical properties, obviously, you have different technical properties describing different products. For example, for the concrete, you need strength. For the steel, you need grade, subgrade. So what we have done is to understand what are the relevant standards for compliance for type of product, per type of product and see what are the technical properties detailed there. And then what we do is, if you want to record a property that is not already there, you can type it and see if there is something else similar. So regularly, we also have some cleaning processes to make sure that if there is something property pretty similar with slightly different, we use the same name for everything. But I think, there are many initiatives as well to try to standardize the properties of products, and also on the EU level currently, and especially with the digital product passport policy coming on board, this will be one of the key aspects. So we're also involved in this part as well. So we make sure when this is publicly available, everything is being reflected in the tool as well.
Do you see using the kind of data dictionaries for this as the basis to basically record what's required?
Which one there?
Data dictionaries.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So answers, so what we do now, there is this data dictionary, but when this is on an EU level, of course, this will be adopted.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Vitaly. Thank you very much, Anastasia, for a very interesting and insightful window and kind of whistle-stop tour of what seems a very innovative suite of software that you've got there. I'm sure that our journalists on Building Digital will be keen to speak to you about that further in the future. Something we'll be keen to cover. So all that's left to do is to round up and summarise today's presentations. So we first heard from Shervin, who is the head of construction at GS1 UK. Shervin started by setting the scene, discussing the industry and how it largely works in silos still, which is obviously part of the challenge. One way of linking the various silos together is by giving unique identification numbers to various products that exist. Shervin explained that GS1 are a not-for-profit membership organisation that create the unique identification numbers for all products using a database, and all of which carry data for that particular product it's matched to. The data each identification number carries involves places, companies, people, and transport. One example is Amazon, who use GS1 standards to identify its products so they can comply with their health and safety, sustainability, and traceability needs. GS1 are a global company and strive to challenge the global issue of a lack of traceability by using these unique identification numbers. We then had our second keynote, which came from Anastasia Stella, who's the co-founder and CEO of Circuland. Anastasia talks about a particular digital solution that links with the unique identification numbers to make the data more meaningful. Circuland creates a platform to make sense of the fairly new creation of digital passports. Digital passports are an integral part to this software and are split into digital building passports and digital product passports. Building passports carry data about where the particular products are located inside a building and via a BIM model, so you can see where they are from your own desktop. You only have to collect the data once, then you can use this digital passport for multiple projects and multiple uses, even creating paperwork that can be automated, making things easier for multiple disciplines working across the construction sector. I personally was blown away by the platform and the software that Anastasia kind of profiled, and it was a brilliant innovation. And then finally, our final keynote came from Chloe Donovan, who's the managing director at Natural Building Systems, and Chloe shared a case study and best practice within their company. Chloe started to discuss the circular construction industry. She gave a quick explanation of what their product is, which is essentially a modern method of construction using sustainable panels that potentially have the ability to have a second life. Their case study was on the old Newton School, in which she used the Circular platform and their BIM model to link the UIN on each panel. Chloe shared some of the lessons learned, one of which, interestingly, was that you can now narrow down each individual unique identification number a little too much. But by using RFID scanners and codes, which does still need a little bit of manual work, it has helped to keep tabs on the panels where they need to go, and is even more useful when disassembling the panels. Circularity in the building industry is very difficult to do, but today I think we've shown that it can be achieved. So thank you very much to our keynotes, and I hope to see you all at a future Building Digital online micro conference. Again, thank you from us, and enjoy the rest of your day.